Welcome to the Green Room. My name is Danielle Carpidi, and thank you once again for joining us today. Today we are going to be highly entertained, highly informed. I've got two performing artists here, one on stage, one behind the camera. Thank you so much for joining me today, guys.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for having me.
So we have Thabiso, and then we have Albert with us. Okay, two very different, not necessarily two different experiences, but different ways of approaching your craft. Am I right in saying so?
I think it's similar in a sense of it's still performing. The difference is the stage.
Yes.
So if you're on stage, you still are performing, still in character, just as on camera.
Okay.
The same platform.
And you agree?
I do to a certain level.
Mm.
I do.
Yeah.
I mean, on stage you're live.
Yes.
You're constantly going.
Yeah.
There's no cuts.
There's no cut.
Preparation. Once you go, you go.
It's gone.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I feel like when you're on stage, you're almost like in a different realm because you have to be fully there. And I watched you when you did the closet chant.
Right.
And I was watching it on my laptop and I just instantly started getting goosebumps because I was like, how your voice and your performance, everything is coming across. How did you get into theatre?
I studied, but I got into it at a very young age. I was still in high school, and then I went on to study at Wits. And the love just grew more and more. And it's a calling.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
life itself.
Yes.
It's a form of breathing. It's a form of coping, living.
Yeah. And yourself, Thabiso?
For me is indeed it's breathing. For me, how did I get into it? It's the love. It's how I felt in love with just watching somebody performing, getting into character. So that's the first point. That's the first attraction that I got to watch somebody getting into somebody else and you know, doing it great as well. So I started in high school.
Okay.
That's where I did my first production, obviously on stage. And from there, a couple of years later, we're here.
Oh my gosh.
Couple of years later.
I'm just trying to fathom this. The two of you are sitting there at like 3 years old, 4 years old, and you're watching TV. My understanding at 4 was there's a box and there's people there doing things. And I think maybe I could have picked up because I'm kinalibo dramatic, you know, and that's how you think about it. But what you guys have just explained is that it goes deeper into that.
Yeah.
You guys were
Sure.
able to see far and beyond that. And now with yourself, Albert, you're writing mainly your own stuff when you're performing because it's an expression of yourself.
Sure.
What is the process of that?
It's a cigarette under the stars. I don't have like a concrete and like concise way of working.
Okay.
You know, what comes to me at that moment. I mean, I never take everything onto self.
Okay.
I believe I'm given. You know, I believe the ones before my Asian guides give me my material.
Okay.
You know, so it's a deeper process than what's on the surface, what I get to write down. But I just work with what's playing around in the air, what I need to say, what I've been told to say.
And then do you find that, do you do any television? Would you like to go into that direction?
I do television. I do television. I think actors who start in stage can easily juggle the two worlds. Even though with television, it's a bit downsizing.
Yes.
Almost everything.
Downgrade.
It's a downgrade.
Just a little bit.
Just a bit. But it's really the same thing. I believe that it's really the same thing. You give your all in both stage and television. I do both. I'm also now behind the scenes. I'm more into television and film now.
Okay.
So I juggle in two worlds. I think the circumstances of the country and artists will push you to just not only be an actor. You have to almost like branch
Yeah.
yourself into everything.
But this sounds so
Guaranteed.
unfair to me because I've seen the amount of work that you've done, and I'm like, he was on Generations, he did Erased, and then he did this African movie or skit, and I was like, is it not a bit unfair? Because the girl sitting there going, I want to be that particular actor, or the guy going, I want to be the actor, the girl going, actress, is sitting there going, but this person is doing everything.
Sure.
And I love it. I love acting. It's a passion for me. But that particular person is doing everything. So the cake is this small.
Yeah.
And we are so many trying to dive
Too
into
many.
that.
Sure. Yeah.
So how then can we then encourage others to follow their dream if your dream has suddenly become everything?
I think the thing about being an artist is that is love, is passion.
Yeah.
So you cannot be in this industry unless if you're passionate about it, unless if you love it, if you can put everything aside and then focus on it.
Okay.
Because there is a whole lot of amount that goes into, that you invest into the arts.
Okay.
In terms of money, in terms of your time, in terms of the passion, in terms of tears as well.
Yes.
You spend there are so many no's than yeses.
Okay.
So what you see out of 10, there will be 1 yes. So that guaranteed has to be passion and love.
But you've gotten many yeses.
Out of how many no's?
But the yeses that you got.
Yeah. Out of how many no's?
And so it looks almost very difficult. And even for yourself, I mean, you're an all-rounder.
Right.
I saw you perform on the theatre, like I'm saying, and then I saw you dance.
Right.
And then I heard you sing.
Right.
And I was like, this is 3 people, 4 people happening here. What about the little girl that only does one thing?
Yeah.
Or the little girl that can only sing? Or the little boy that can only act? You know, and especially with Corona currently, we've now found ourselves having to think outside of the box.
Of course.
Sure.
And how are you guys living? How are you guys surviving with that?
We're living.
We're here.
We're here.
But
We are
it's
living.
difficult circumstances because you expect to be, I think you absolutely excel. I'm
Sure.
not going, and this is through a screen. So imagine live, the actual effect that's there.
Right.
And now there's no more live
Yeah.
performances.
Yeah.
There's no crowd to do that.
I mean, it's hectic. It's hectic for a lot of artists. It's hectic for production houses. It's hectic for everybody.
Yeah.
But like I said, you can't be a one pony. Have one trait to yourself. You have to do everything. You know, I remember when social media was going crazy about South African actors are singers, and
And
they're
then-
presenters,
Yeah.
but they have to
Yeah.
do that because this country is pushing us to that.
Yeah.
The government not supporting the art enough, it's pushing us to that. If people in sports can, from one game, gain so much, how can we not? You know, you have this job at the moment, but you have to locate your next job.
Yeah.
Because once you see me on the street and I'm not happy to take a selfie with you, what you're seeing on television, we did it 3 months back.
Yeah.
The money is gone. I'm suffering. I'm looking for the next gig, the next meal to put on the table. So it's all of those things.
Yeah.
So how do we move from that then? How do we then make the government aware that they have to pay more attention to this? Because what's happening here is if you're getting a job and you're getting the presenting gig and you're getting the singing gig and the dancing gig, how do then we convince the government? Why aren't you guys saying no to certain things? Of course you have to survive, but I mean just from an emotional perspective, why are you guys not saying, no, other kids, give them a chance?
Well, I think it's difficult in a sense that the government is away. Try to go a day without watching TV, listening to music, reading a book. Just a day, not even a week. So that's how important the art is.
Yeah.
It's extremely important that you cannot do anything without an artist.
Yes.
You wearing those clothes,
Yes.
it's an artist.
It's an artist. I actually,
So-
I didn't dress myself today.
Yeah. Sure.
I actually got it from a stylist, and I was interviewing her earlier, and I realized these are things I would have never have purchased.
Exactly.
But she put my mind, and she dressed me in a different way, and that's when I started to understand. Gosh, it's not only what happens in the front; it's all the way
Sure.
to
Everything.
the back of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything. So the government guaranteed is aware of artists. It's just a matter of them paying attention to the detail that needs or to the needs of the artists.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there was a bill that the president still needs to sign, and still to date, I think it started 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, or a couple of years ago, but it's not signed. We are, at least musicians are getting royalties, but as an actor, if you see my work from 2 years or 3 years ago, I'm not getting anything from it.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
So if I watch Lisilo today, Lisilo's grandkids are not benefiting from that.
Zero.
No.
Matsinyane is doing other
Yeah.
money.
Yeah.
He's doing other money. I mean, also, we're not so unified as artists also.
Yeah.
You know, some eat, some don't. You know, and if we protest, then some are still going to work. If we have a total shutdown of everything, and remember, when we say artists, it also includes crew members, you know, includes those people. So we can shut down as theater actors, you know, but television, they're still working.
Yeah.
They're under production houses, you know. So if we have a total shutdown as all artists, right? But still, people need to eat.
Need to eat.
People need to
Because the focus would be there that if I am saying I'm staying home, who's going to pay my rent at the end of the month? So that's the reason why maybe there's no uniform or unity that we are all doing this, because we're always thinking about the next meal, the next gig, money for my bond, money for my car, money for the house. So maybe that's another reason, because we do not have a stable income every month.
Sure.
Yeah.
So how do we move? How do we create a sort of 9 to 5 thinking around artists? Because essentially what you get paid for is the work that you're doing. Because I know I was chatting to another artist last week, and she was saying to me, a lot of artists don't even have medical aid.
Yeah.
Imagine I'm seeing you on TV and
Yeah.
then we're laying next to each other, kopara.
Yeah.
What is that,
Definitely.
guys?
Yeah.
This is crazy.
It's the reality.
But you do fantastic work. I was watching you do I think you were sort of doing a vlog of some sort, and
Right.
you were introducing yourself, and then you mentioned the fact of doing kids theatre,
Sure.
kiddies theatre.
Yeah.
And tell us more a little bit about that. What's the idea behind that? How does it work?
I think what pushed it more is the absence of art within the school formation. And you can't just put it within the art curriculum, like arts and crafts, you know, because this is why kids lose interest in the arts, you know. There's a few who actually go through with it. But from a young age, we're not taught how to make money from art.
Yes.
How to turn it into a business, how to eat with it. You know, it takes you to what, grade 12, and then it's something extra. It's just there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But now, can't we put in the educational system, just like agriculture, gardening, a simple thing like that?
Yeah.
You know, someone has to do it. So those things should be in our educational system. You know, we should be having artists in parliament to talk for artists.
Yes.
You know, so
It doesn't make me want to become a person who's in theatre, regardless of how talented I might
Sure.
be, you know, because there's so many hiccups. And because the entire world revolves around money, it's hard to break through that, especially now with Corona. I think you guys suffered the most.
yeah.
You absolutely suffered the most.
Yeah.
So what are we saying to the kids out there? How can we encourage them? Where can they go in terms of learning what it is that they need to do in order to survive in this industry? Bar schooling, what other research do they need to do?
I mean, if you're an artist, you have to love it. But also, if you really love something, you also have to understand its beauty and its flaws, and understand it fully. I came into being an artist understanding that there might be hard days.
Yeah.
It's a reality, you know, and study. You can't get into an institution, shadow people, you know. Some people think studying is actually just like
formal.
Yeah, I was just
formal.
about to target
No.
that. Yeah.
Shadow people, get in contact with people, study, put your mind and invest
Apply
your
it.
entirety into it because it's a really hard job. It looks easy, but it's a job, like a nurse, like a policeman.
Yes, and you still don't get the benefits, the medical aids.
No,
the
definitely.
pension,
Zero.
Definitely.
you don't
Zero.
get that
I would
at all.
agree with him in terms of studying. You definitely need to learn everything about the industry in terms of how to navigate yourself as a business because you are business.
Yes.
Financial literacy,
Yeah.
because they give you money today and tomorrow it's all gone because you do not have the knowledge and the understanding that it needs to sustain you for the next 3 months because there's no gig tomorrow. So, and then the art itself, it definitely looks easy. A lot of people think being an actor is you read the script, you know the lines, and you just get on stage and then you deliver. It's not.
So what goes into it then?
Whew.
Sleepless nights.
Yeah.
Tears.
But why are we not sleeping? What's happening? If the script has been given, especially particularly you,
Yeah.
I understand your
Right.
sleepless nights because you do your own crafting of
Yeah.
work. But if you've been given a script,
Right.
what is the hard part about it? What is the sleepless night?
One, you need to know that you need to interpret the scene, for example. I'll go to a scene. You need to interpret the scene, you need to know the mood, you need to know what is the reason why we are doing this scene? What is the objective of the scene? Why are we talking about Corona? Did we talk about it yesterday?
Yes.
So there's so many things. And if I'm going to talk about Corona, am I knowledgeable enough about Corona that I executed the
enough.
way it's supposed to be executed?
Okay.
It's your duty as an artist to do that.
Yeah.
Because the director, when you get on set, the director will get there and then direct you and say, this is where you're supposed to be. Run the lines, you run the lines, but it's at the end of the day, it's your duty to perform.
you.
Yeah.
It's on you, not anybody else.
And what would you say was the most difficult role?
Being a doctor.
Because the English there,
Terminology.
it's all that jargon.
All the jargons.
All the jargon.
But fortunately enough, I've got a partner that's in the space where
awesome.
I can always refer and like, what is this? What is hypoxemia? What is
My God.
what are we talking about here?
English already flips my tongue.
You're
So-
Right.
Because the thing is, you want to get there and do it as convincing as possible that you are that person.
Yes.
So you cannot, no shortcut.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to go full.
You have
in.
to.
Yeah, I mean, I always say actors are anthropologists. You have to. I mean, you're given a script, right? You're playing somebody you've never been exposed to. I mean, I had to play a father who's a failure and who's a drunk. I've never been exposed to that because my father was there. He was none of that, right? But now I had to do my own research and work and understand and literally go to a shebeen. Go to that space and understand who are you playing, what are you representing, So there's a whole lot of work. The hours are crazy. You're shooting at night, you're shooting in the morning. You're shooting in the morning and it's like 4 degrees, but you're acting like it's 20 degrees, like Homonat. But
You leave your house at 4 a.m.
Sometimes you don't even have a car.
Yeah.
there we go. So it's really a crazy job, but a beautiful job also.
It is a beautiful job, and you guys do such an amazing job executing every role that you've played. And especially because I really, really love theatre, and I understand the difference between the television and the theatre and doing all of that. So we really, really do appreciate that. Is there anything that you'd like to teach me for free?
It's for free for me.
You're not getting paid.
artists.
You're going through a
Come on,
pandemic.
guys, we're giving back here.
Times are tough and you're wanting things for free.
What can you teach me, just for free? Just something that you think in your acting career. Let's say, for instance, I work in a call center, right? And I watch you guys every day. What is it that you think could help me, just my daily life, in terms of the knowledge that you guys have?
I can give you knowledge.
Okay.
Which is education.
Okay.
Fame and fortune doesn't exist in this country.
Wow.
Yeah. Seeing somebody on TV doesn't necessarily mean that they have money.
That is painful.
Yeah. It doesn't. It's politics that obviously you're not gonna get into them, but it's the reality.
So how do we cross the border? Because now we want to make money. We want to change the way things are happening. How do we get ourselves as artists, the two of you, how do you get yourself across the border? What is it that you have to do in order to get attention from where you might be even valued more?
I mean, I've worked internationally since the start of my career, and because also I knew, you're not going to be number one on the call sheet. You know your reality.
Okay.
You're not going to be the steady.
Yes.
Create your own content, write your own stories.
Awesome.
Play around, collaborate. There's a lot of artists. It was weird for me being in at Wits, and the departments are so separate. Even the minds are so separate.
Yes.
And I was the first person to actually initiate creating a show with a fine artist and a musician, bring everybody on board, collaborate, make something. You can't work alone.
Yeah.
You need to have other hands coming into your project.
Yeah.
So do your own stories. We need our own African content.
Yes.
We can't be so indulged within American content, bringing it here and turning it into
Into a
African.
South
Yeah.
African thing,
It's boring.
Yeah.
You know, so we need more of our own stories. But we need to cherish our own stories also.
True.
Yeah, we need to support them, Yeah.
True. I think even budget as well. I love money. For projects, sometimes you find that it's a great story, but the budget was not enough to execute it the way it's meant to be. So it's important that people that are up there to actually look into that, giving black producers enough money to create content.
Yeah.
Because the industry is there, talent is there, script writers are there. There's good stories out there, but it's just the budget in most cases.
And then I also think we shouldn't shy away from being independent. Because right now we're fighting with the NAC,
Yes.
right? Monies are not coming in. Monies are going somewhere else.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've been independent since the start of my career.
Yeah.
And the one thing that's always helped me is having to, while I'm grateful for it, is leaving the country, going to work somewhere else in the world, and then coming back and then creating my own stuff.
How did you let's start. How did you leave the country? How did you get
So I created a work, I think in my 4th year, which was supposed to create our repertoires and whatnot, and my lecturers hated it, thank God, because it pushed me. And an artist by Robin Orlin, she came to see the work, and then we ended up in one agency based in France.
wow.
So yeah, that's how I got my gigs internationally.
So you definitely can make it in the industry. You just have to be a tough nut.
Yeah.
Like a really, really tough nut.
Yes, definitely. You have to be a tough nut. Or
Guys,
else you will not be in the industry.
You won't last.
Yeah.
You won't last. Thank you so much for your free knowledge.
Pleasure.
And thank you so much for sharing all this information with us. We don't take it for granted. We appreciate both your works. And please continue to do amazing stuff.
Grateful.
Thank you.
The Green Room, that's us for today. Thank you so much. Goodbye.